Hello and a warm welcome back to Autism Unpacked. I'm Rosie Moss and today we're diving into a topic that so many families think about but do not always talk about openly. When we talk about autism, we often focus on the diagnosis, school, therapies and support. But there is another group quietly growing up alongside it all. Siblings. Brothers and sisters who love fiercely, adapt quickly and sometimes worry deeply, and often understand more than we realise. What does it really feel like to grow up with autistic sisters? How do families balance everyone's needs? And how can we make sure that siblings feel heard, seen and supported in their own right? I'm really pleased to be joined today by Becky and Max Smith. Becky is mum to 3 children, including Daisy and Jorgi-Rose, who are autistic, and Max, their brother. Max has taken his lived experience and turned it into something powerful by writing books about being an autism sibling. Let's begin by meeting Becky and Max and finding out all about their family dynamic. Becky and Max, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're so welcome. Now, Max, let's start with you, young man. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your sisters? What are Daisy and Jorgi-Rose like?
So Daisy and Georgie are on very opposite sides of the spectrum. Daisy is my older sister. She's 13 and in high school. Georgie is 5 and in reception, and she's my younger sister. So Daisy has a hard time regulating her emotions, and she doesn't like being in crowded places and new people because it takes her a while to get used to it, and she doesn't like noise that much as well. So she's kind of, like that.
And what does that look like if she's somewhere and it's really busy or it's too loud? How might she react to that?
She'll get a bit upset and a bit angry. And when she was younger, it was really, really bad. And she would start hitting my mum and my parents, and it was really bad. But over the years, it has got better.
And that must have been quite difficult for you to see when you were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about Jorgi-Rose?
So she is non-verbal. She can't talk. She likes wrapping ribbons into spiral shapes. That's kind of her thing. We used to do it, and she can't talk, as I said, but she has found her way of communicating. So she grabs you by the hand and takes you to what she wants. She will eventually let go of something, and you just kind of have to guess what she wants. If she pushes it away, she doesn't want it. If she takes it and gives it back, she wants you to open the wrapper on it, if it does have a wrapper.
So you've had to learn how to sort of interpret a different way of communicating with your sister.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
You're welcome.
Becky, just give me a little bit of an idea of what kind of everyday life is like for you guys at home. Can you, just for an example, tell me what an average Tuesday might look like, Tuesday morning?
So in the morning, I always try to wake up before all 3 of them.
Relatable, yes.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of peace and quiet, but I need to make sure that everything is right downstairs.
Yes.
So she needs to have a favourite. Georgie needs to have a favourite on the telly. So Peppa Pig needs to be on the telly for her when she comes down. The blinds all need to be open. Breakfast needs to be in her bowl on a chair, and she still drinks out of bottles at the minute, but she has medication in the morning as well, which mixes in with her bottle. So I need to make sure that that's all dissolved into a bottle.
And is that because if she sees it, then she won't drink the milk?
Yeah,
right.
So if it's a little bit different or if it's not the same, then you can see her looking at it and she's not very happy with it. So I like it when she comes down that she gets straight into a chair, the telly's on with what she wants to watch, and a bottle and a cereal are ready to go, because I want to make sure that she has the whole bottle before she goes to nursery, to make sure that everything is, she's got it all in.
And does it have to be a specific bowl and spoon as well?
So she doesn't use a spoon at the minute. She's still using her hands. She has the same cereal every day, and it's dry, so she doesn't have it with, so it's not too messy, luckily. She doesn't have it with milk, but it is the same cereal, the same juice every day.
And what would it look like for you guys if she were to come downstairs in the morning and this wasn't in place? What would happen?
She throws herself onto the floor, and she's been doing it for quite a while now. She's been self-harming, so she's biting herself and she's hitting herself in the head. So we just try and limit that as much as we can, try and make sure that that doesn't happen. So it's horrible to see, and it's horrible for her to be doing it to herself. She must be really upset for her to,
that must be incredibly distressing for everyone.
Yeah, so I just need to make sure that every morning is the same, really.
And what about Daisy? How does she get up in the morning? I'm thinking 13-year-old.
Yeah, so it has changed over the years now. She's got a little bit older. So what really helped with her was visuals. So she had them in her room, you know, on the little, so you can take them off the Velcro strips.
Yes, so as she does something, she takes it off.
So then it's disappeared. Daisy really struggles with like a list and instructions. So I can't say, right, okay, you need to brush your teeth and then you need to brush your hair, and it has to be one thing at a time, and it's normally about 20 times I have to tell her for one thing. So I need to be on her case all of the time to make sure that we're actually out the door on time, ready for school, because she won't. It's not that she's ignoring me. I think it just goes straight out her head. Yeah. She gets distracted by something else that takes priority over what I've told her to do, and she doesn't really like doing the things that require you to be ready for the morning. So brushing her hair, she's not keen on. Getting changed out of her pyjamas, she's not keen on. So she's probably trying to stall that as well.
And so how long could your morning routine take in the morning? What time are you getting up?
So I get up about 6:30, and then depending on how Georgie slept during the night, depends on what time she gets up as well. So I'm up and down, trying to not wake her up, but try and make noise to try and make her wake
Yes,
up.
I do the same.
So I'm not actually sat on a bed like, come on, Georgie. I'll open her curtains a little bit, then I'll open them a little bit more, so she's not like startled waking up, but I'm like, we sort of do need to rush a little bit. So it can take, we normally leave, don't we, the house about 9:15.
Diagnosis is a milestone in any family's life. For parents of both neurotypical and neurodiverse children, there are many questions to face too, as we hear now. So, Becky, talk to me about diagnosis, because obviously Daisy is your eldest child. So often with your eldest, the early signs of neurodiversity might not be as obvious because you don't have anything to compare it to, do you? It's your first baby, she's a girl. So talk to me about what it was like identifying that she had additional needs and going for a diagnosis.
No, that is really true. So I only really saw like differences in her and her struggles when we had Max. And watching him grow up, I was thinking, why is he maybe coping in this situation better even though he's younger? Why is he doing this or not doing this? And Daisy is still doing certain things. Why is it such a struggle for her to be out, to be around other people? Why is she hitting me? Why is she hitting other people when he's not doing these kind of things? I think with her being my first as well, like you said, I have nothing to compare it to, and then he came along and I was like, oh,
this is a bit different.
Yeah, maybe there is a little bit of something. And I spoke to school and they were like, no, nothing, that we're not seeing any of these behaviours in school. I was like, all right, maybe I've spoiled her a little bit too much, maybe it's my fault, maybe he's different because he's a second child, I don't know. But then her behaviours got worse and worse, to the point where she actually punched my husband in the face and chipped his front tooth.
Oh my goodness.
So I was thinking, this isn't a normal tantrum.
Yeah, there's something else going on here.
I think you know as well as a mum, don't you? Yeah. As well. I thought there's definitely something underlying. And then eventually she was unable to mask it in school for how, so like as the years went on, she couldn't mask. So school were then seeing the behaviours in school, and I was like, oh, you sort of feel validated a little bit.
You do. And I've got an autistic daughter, and I have a very similar situation where, because she was masking so heavily in school, they weren't terribly receptive to me saying, actually, I think there's something going on here. And then you feel like you've got to prove yourself, don't you? You feel like you're having to kind of go and source all this information to like you said, to validate what you've noticed the whole time.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation to be in when people they're not saying it in so many words, but they're not believing you.
Yeah. And you feel like you're making a fuss, don't you, about nothing.
Or
and
you feel like you're going mad a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, am I just seeing this? Am I seeing this right, or am I taking it the wrong way?
Yeah.
But I think
And
as a
we
mum,
always start
you know.
questioning our own parenting. I picked up on the fact you said, did I spoil her? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's me with my daughter. Because you start thinking, is it me? Should I have let her sleep in my bed that long? Is it my fault?
You look straight at yourself though, don't you?
Especially as a mum.
And you're seeing all of the behaviours as well, because you are where they feel safe.
Yeah.
So it all comes out to them. So I could see it sometimes when she was coming out of school. I could physically see that she'd held it in.
Yeah.
She was walking towards me, and the closer she got to me, her shoulders were dropping, and she'd burst out crying, but only when she was so close to me. So you could see that she'd held it in all day.
That
and
real
then
physical restraint almost.
Yeah, and then she felt safe and in, like, with me, that she was able to let it all out.
And how did the way you parented her change once you had a diagnosis? Did it change?
Yeah, I would say it was me that needed to change more, because I had this image. I don't know whether this is just me or whether it's all mums. I had this image. I was dressing her in little dresses and tights and shoes and
glittery things.
Yeah, doing all of her. But she's got sensory processing
Yes.
disorder as well. So like all of her wardrobe was practically clothes that she didn't feel comfortable in. And then it took me to take a step back to be like, why am I sort of punishing her? Because I want her to wear these kind of things, and she doesn't. So it was me looking at myself and how I was being with her. So I had to learn a bit more patience as well. And whereas I'm, okay, we need to do this in this order, it's got to be done, we're going to be late, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I had to take a step back and look at that as well and be like, that's not going to work for her. I need to be calm. Even if I'm not on the inside, I need to show that I am calm, because that keeps her calm.
So Becky, then you had Jorgi-Rose, and when did she obtain a diagnosis? When did you notice that perhaps she was developing a little bit differently to Max?
So everything I thought I knew about autism,
Out the window?
It turned out I didn't. Georgie, she was a lot easier to diagnose. She was the stereotypical showing autism traits. She was delayed in all of her milestones. It wasn't just me that said it with Georgie. The health visitor came at a 12-month review, and she said, I'm just going to refer her on. We'll just see how she goes, sort of thing. So I think it was on her radar as well. And I think with it being your own child, like I know I have Daisy, who is autistic. It's not that you don't want it, but maybe you don't see it as clearly because you are living it day in, day out. So it is not like you're not walking into somewhere and saying, oh, you're seeing loads of different things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like she'd always walked on her tiptoes when she learned to walk, and I just thought, oh, that's just how she's walking, kind of thing. But maybe for someone else looking in, they'd be like, oh, that's a little bit of a telltale sign there. And she just likes to do her little twirls, and like I said, she was delayed in her walking, sitting, crawling, whereas that was the complete opposite to Daisy. Daisy was really fast in meeting all of her milestones, so that was brand new to us as well.
Managing family life can be difficult for any family, as we all know. For Becky and her husband, there have been decisions to make about their work life, as well as the family unit. And what did it look like for you as a family once you'd had this second child diagnosed, and then you've got Max in the middle? So how are you able to sort of manage family life? Are you able to carry on working?
So I did carry on working for a few years, and then last year, before Georgie turned, was it 4? I stopped working because when she started nursery, so she's in reception now, she struggled with the changes going to, because she hadn't been to nursery before or a childminder or anything like that. She'd always been with me. So they sort of struggled with her behaviours, so they were ringing me up quite a bit, and I'd have to go and pick her up. So I was always saying to work, I'm really sorry, I've got to, because you drop everything and go, don't you, to pick them up. But it was getting to the point where it was quite regular. I'd have to go and pick her up.
And this is a really common issue for parents of neurodivergent children, is that no matter how understanding your place of work is, sometimes it becomes untenable and you can't maintain a work, which means that as a mother, as an adult parent, you are losing some of your autonomy, aren't you?
Yeah.
And your financial issues as well. And that can take a real toll on a family.
Definitely. I think as well the guilt that I felt towards my work, I thought, I hope they don't think that I'm lying about all of these things. I just felt guilty about having to drop everything, and it wasn't on my like the forefront of my mind even when I was there. It was always school are going to ring me.
You're just waiting, aren't you? Waiting for the call.
School are going to ring. And then when Daisy went to high school, there was a few issues there, and I was getting phone calls from school from Daisy as well. So I was like, it's like you never switch off, do you? I'm constantly waiting for the next fire and for me to have to put the next fire out.
Yeah.
So I just thought, me and my husband sat down and we had a discussion about it, and we thought it would be better if I stopped working. He works, but he works away a lot.
Oh my goodness, so you're literally on your own a lot of the time.
So then if I had to be at work at a certain time, it was just not feasible for me to get there, especially if he goes abroad a lot as well. So it's not just him travelling in England. So he's not there to help. He's nowhere close to even help. So I just needed to make sure that I was, he worked and
And what about family support? Have you got grandparents around that are helping you?
Yeah, so we've got my husband's mum and dad and my mum and dad as well. They help where they can, but they've got other grandchildren as well who they look after, so they're not there all of the time.
And it's unfortunate as well that grandparents seem to have social lives of their own. I find mine aren't at my disposal as much as I'd quite like.
It's absolutely terrible when they've got plans. And
so rude.
Because at weekend as well, sometimes I need help with Georgie because she can't come to certain places that the L2 want to go to. And she, like the pictures, for example, she wouldn't sit still in there. So sometimes when we've got something coming up in the weekend, I don't really like asking them in the week because I'm saving it for
the weekend.
Yeah. So it's just easier if I'm just at home.
Ensuring all the children receive the attention they need isn't always easy. We're now going to find out about some of the changes Becky's family have made to their home to make sure every voice is heard. Becky, are there any sort of adaptations that you've made to your family life to make things a little bit easier? You mentioned the visual timetable that works really, really well for Daisy. That's an amazing tip. Is there anything else that you've done?
For Daisy as well, she had the sensory stories, especially for going on holiday when we went in the airport. She really hated the security. So we had to literally have a countdown. So she'd flip it over and she'd look at what was next and read what was coming. Then you'd have to go through the x-ray. And then once we got through that point, she sort of calmed down a little bit. But that really helped her as well, explaining that to her. And then we have made some physical adaptations to the house. So Georgie's got her own sensory room with a swing just in the middle of but she loves it, the back and forth motion. She really likes that. And then we've got a little I think it's called a cuddle box, so it's just like lycra sheets in a big cube, and she sits in the middle of it, and it's like I think she feels the feeling of weightless. So
I'd like to go in that,
but everything's like I can't have that in my living room, a big swing in the middle. So we've sort of kept that all together for Georgie on her side, and then we've kept our living room as the living room,
the family space.
Yeah, for us to watch telly together and without a big swing in the middle of the room.
Boring. Becky, how do you make sure that Max feels that he's getting, I'm looking at Max here now, see, the same amount of kind of your time and attention? Because any mother of 3 knows that it's difficult to divide your time equally 3 ways anyway. But when you have got children with additional needs, they are going to take up quite a lot of your time and attention. So what do you do with Max?
So with Max, we make sure we take him to places on his own.
Yeah.
So he gets, because we know that with all the goodwill in the world, we can plan a brilliant day out with everyone, and we know it might not go that way. So there's been many a time where he's had to come home early from I don't know, theme parks. We've had to leave. We had to leave the farm early. So we try and do things with him on his own. So maybe, not that he's ever said anything, but he'll know, then he'll be like, right, I'm going to get to watch this whole film, or I'm going to get to go on all the rides that I want to go on to, because it's just me and I've got mum and dad's attention just on me. So
I bet that's really special, isn't it, Max?
Yes.
Yeah. A Max day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
like the best day of my life.
And what was your favourite thing be to do on one of these days, if you could do anything?
If I could do anything on one of these days, my favourite thing would probably go to America.
Oh, okay. Big ask. Yeah.
I'd go to America and then go to it's like a really big theme park. I don't know what it's called, but it's like really big and it's got a really big ride on it. I don't know what the ride's called either, so.
But you like theme parks, do you?
Yeah.
And those are notoriously difficult for neurodivergent people, aren't they? Yeah.
I also like water parks, they're fun.
Do you?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And have you got any sort of advice that you might like to give to anybody that's an autism brother or sister?
Yeah. Advice that I'd give is be patient with them. If you need to tell anyone, just remember you've got teachers, friends, parents, trusted adults, and really anyone. Like, you could have a different brother or sister who doesn't have autism. You can talk to them about anything, really.
And have you got lots of people you talk to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More likely my mum and dad, though, most of the time.
Yeah, but that's lovely that you can talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, Becky, we've touched upon making time for Max, making sure that he feels kind of seen and heard in your family. What happens, I don't know, say you're at home and both of the girls have a meltdown about something different and they both need you in that moment? How do you do that? How do you split yourself in two?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
You're still figuring that out? You haven't managed to clone yourself yet?
No.
It's disappointing.
I need about 3 of me, I think. I think it just depends on what is happening, why both of them are having meltdowns, and I just try and deal with the situation as best I can. And if I am there on my own, I do call upon Max to come and help if he can, just maybe distract one while I try and see to the other, or if I physically need something like a nappy or wipes, he goes and gets it for me. He's there to help, and he doesn't complain. He comes down and gets stuck in, don't you?
Yes.
You really help with Jorgi.
I like helping with Jay.
Yeah.
You like helping? Does that make you feel like you're, really contributing to the family as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely. What a nice young man. You have a word with my children. This brings part 1 of this episode of Autism Unpacked to an end. We've now got a really good feel for the family dynamic and the various personalities of the children, as well as how hard Becky and her husband have worked to make sure that everyone is fully included in family life. In part 2, we're going to discover the spark that lit the idea for Max and Becky to write 2 books about their lovely family. What the books are about, how they wrote them, and the impact they've had on the lives of others. We're even going to hear Max reading from them, so I look forward to seeing you then.